We get stuck in thinking like, what's the path? What's the right way? What's the thing I should be doing or saying? When in reality, nobody really knows. Like, there's just different things you can try. Try one of those things. And if it doesn't work, try something else.
Changing your mind is it's a necessity of growing up. It's a privilege in reality too, because it's like, if you're not learning, growing, and changing, I say you're just dying faster than you already are.
I guess I always just view it as like, there's a difference between the path and a path. Like, this is the only way versus saying, well, there's a path I can try. And if it doesn't work, well, guess what? There's another path.
Welcome to Courage is Built Here, the podcast. I'm Justine Froelker, licensed professional counselor, author, speaker, and corporate trainer. Here, we bring my Courage is Built Here curriculum to life and community. Each week, I invite a guest to walk one of the 5 courageous pathways with me through authentic, sometimes tough, sometimes hilarious conversations. No performance, no polish, just real people practicing real courage with grit, grace, and a whole lot of love. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Courage is Built Here podcast. Today, we have Pathway 5, Do the Work. Most days, I'm going to be honest with you, I call it do the freaking work. Do the work. Do the courage work. I really don't. I don't think you'll regret it. I just don't. So do the work, how to live courageously. And it's all of the curriculum. It's all 5 pathways culminating into one. So we do touch on things like we got to come from our values. We have to be emotionally regulated and have emotional well-being. We're going to take care of ourselves because you can't give what you don't have. We're going to show up authentically and lean into vulnerability. We're going to love others well and lead others well. And the skill sets of shame resilience and empathy with accountability and operationalizing trust and having tough conversations in a courageous, curious way, especially when it comes to feedback. And then it comes to Pathway 5. Do the work. So we do all of the work in Pathway 5, and we also very much focus on making sure that we own the stories that we live from. We're going to reclaim, you're going to grab back some of your beliefs and the stories that you tell yourself. You're going to claim back what maybe has been stolen from you, or what's been spoken over you, or what you've mistakenly believed because your brain didn't like to be vulnerable. And so you just made up a story. We also reclaim the stories from really some of those old, really tough seasons of your life. So whether or not it's childhood stuff or that really toxic relationship or work culture that you were in, or it's been a 3-day fight with your partner or spouse, whatever it might be, like those old narratives, they really sometimes end up working really deep grooves in our brain, and they're born of some of the toughest seasons of our lives. And so in Do the Work, we reclaim those stories and we rewrite them. We rewrite them into what is true. And so today's episode, this conversation, I'm really excited for you to listen. Liz Haberberger is my guest. I love Liz. I've known about Liz for a very long time. She owns St. Louis and Kansas City territory of Dale Carnegie. So she's in the same space that I am. And Dale Carnegie, their programs are incredible. I highly recommend them. And I highly recommend Liz. She is a breath of fresh air, pure sunshine. I have a lot of those people in my life. You're meeting a lot of them. Oh, they're just good people. Just good people. I mean, her LinkedIn tagline literally starts off with like effortlessly energetic, and you'll see it and feel it right away. We have an incredible conversation about like changing our minds, pivoting, beginning. We talk a little bit about grief. And so I'm so honored that she made the time to be here, and I'm so excited for you to meet her. Let's welcome Liz to the podcast. Welcome, Liz, to the Courage is Built Here podcast.
Thank you, Justine. I'm excited.
I'm so excited. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So first question that everyone gets based off of the pathway that they chose to talk about. So when you think about courage, most especially through that lens of what I call Pathway 5, do the work, how to live courageously, like rewriting and reclaiming our stories. It's really just all the courage work, let's be honest. But is there a story or a moment that comes up for you?
Yes, there definitely is. And it was in March of 2020. If you remember anything about March of 2020, the world shifted just slightly. And I had just purchased the Dale Carnegie territory in St. Louis in January. So literally, like,
Okay.
I'm not even 90
Oh my
days
gosh.
in to buying this in-person training company.
Yeah.
And I have this like vivid memory. I was traveling with a client and I was down in Atlanta. And even like that week, I think we were there, it was maybe like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or it was kind of the back half of the week. And with the client, it was kind of like, should we travel? Like, should we go do
Right.
this? It was
I know.
starting to get,
Yeah.
like, it was getting a little dicey. And we were like,
Yep.
oh, yeah, we'll totally go. We'll totally go. So we go down to Atlanta. We're there for 2, 3 days. All you're hearing about, all people are
Yes.
talking about is this COVID thing. And I remember sitting in the airport on the way back. And it was like the weirdest airport experience I've ever had because everybody's like quiet
Uh-huh.
and everybody's looking around like, is it okay that we're here? I'm not sure what we should be doing. And I remember watching the TV, and while we were at the airport, they canceled the March Madness tournament. And there was like
Heard of it.
something big event
Really
that
big.
they canceled. And it was like at that moment where I kind of had this like, oh shit, it's
Uh-huh.
real. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then in my next thought, I was like, wait a minute. If they're not letting people play basketball, if they're worried about being in airports, what's my whole business is about putting people together in a room.
Yeah.
And so I remember that flight back from Atlanta, this like 90-minute flight, just thinking, oh my God, what
Yeah.
do we do? And then having the realization that it's not what do we do? It's Liz, what are you going to do? Because you're the one who runs the business. Like your team is going to be looking at you on Monday to say,
Right.
what
It's
direction are
the
we supposed to
plan.
go?
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking like, okay, well, like I said yes that I was going to run this business. I did not say yes to this pandemic, but we got to figure it out. Like not for
Right.
me, but for the other
Right.
people on the team, for the
Yep.
clients. And so like just that moment of saying like, okay, we got to do this
Mhm. Mhm.
was
Mhm.
that is a moment that
Yeah.
jumps out.
'Cause it's like we're you have that, like, no matter what the hardship is, right? You have the moment of like, "Oh, shit," like, or, "Oh, that hurt," or right? Like, we have
Yep.
that space, and resilience and courage is what next? Like, what now? What's in my control?
Mhm. Yeah, like moving, how do you cope with it? How do you
Uh-huh.
recover from it? And how do you learn and grow? Like, that's what we think about a lot
Yeah.
at Dale
Yeah.
Carnegie with
Yeah.
resilience is like cope, recover, learn.
Uh-huh.
When
Uh-huh.
you get things that you don't expect. And that was
Right.
totally one of those things that I don't think many people
Right.
expected. And it was like, okay, I'm brand new to leading this whole thing, but I gotta
Right.
figure this out.
Yep. Yep. It is that element of, like, what's in my control? Who can I ask for help? What do I know? What do I not know?
And
Uh,
knowing that there's a lot of things you don't know.
don't know.
And you
It
have
was
to be
so
okay with it
uncertain.
though.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, we didn't have a choice.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you always have a choice, right?
Yeah,
Like,
true.
there's
Yeah,
always a choice. You can
always
say,
a choice. You're so
well,
right. I always say, like, I say that in my events when someone's like, "Well, I was forced to be here." I was like, "Well, actually, you're not." Right? Like, I mean, would there be a natural consequence to you not coming to this training? Yeah, probably. You probably wouldn't have liked it. So you didn't have to be here.
mhm. Yes.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I always think about it like if your choice is stay stuck, stay still, do nothing, or do something,
Yeah,
like I pick
yeah,
something
yeah.
any day. And I guess I always just view it as like there's a difference between the path and a path.
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
the path is like, "Oh my god, this has to work, like, this is the only way," versus saying, "Well, there's a path I
right.
can try,
Mhm.
and if it doesn't work, well, guess what? There's
Yep,
another path
right,
I
right,
can try." Like, I think sometimes it's easy to get, like, the whole courage to take action. We get stuck in thinking, like, "What's the path? What's the right
right.
way? What's the
Yep,
thing I should be doing or saying?" When
right.
in reality, nobody really knows.
No.
Like, there's just different things you can try. Try
Yeah.
one of those things, and if it doesn't work, try something else.
Yeah. It is this piece that we totally self-sabotage in that piece of it has to be the best step forward or the right step forward or the perfect step forward when it might just be a freaking step forward.
Yeah.
So that then you're also like, I mean, how many times did we say back in, well, for a couple years, well, I just had to pivot. Right. And it's
Ugh.
just, that word became so like triggering. Right.
Not
But
in the Ross Friends kind of way.
yeah, right. That's a yeah, we need to, like, reclaim that word back to Ross.
Uh-huh.
The couch. That's so true. But it is we've been talking a lot lately with my clients, like, you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to say, like,
Yes.
"Actually, that thing that I thought would work didn't work. A and now I have some new information, and I have to kinda, like, own that it didn't work." That's really important, and you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to pivot, and in reality, that's taking that next step. It's not the best or perfect step, it's just what is the next step?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's so many people who feel like it's a bad thing to change their mind.
No.
Or, I feel like in the world today, sometimes people will then say like, "Oh, I gotcha. You changed your mind on this. You used to say this, and now you're saying this." And I think about Adam Grant's book, Think Again,
Yeah,
which is like all about the power of
so
rethinking
good.
and
Mhm.
saying it's okay to change your mind.
Right.
And so I always find myself, if you're ever at an event or you're listening to CEOs or you're talking with other
Uh-huh.
business owners, one of my favorite questions to ask them is, what's something you changed your mind on within the last 12 months? Because to me, it shows, one, humility, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I don't know everything, and I'm willing to admit it," but it also shows this, like, willingness to learn and grow and say, "Hey, I think I can do better," but it
Yes.
also takes, like, some vulnerability and courage to put it out there. So, like, I love asking that
Yeah.
question to people, like,
Yeah.
"What's something you changed your mind about in the last year?"
That's so good. 'Cau I hope you have changed your mind on some things.
I
I
know.
get always so curious about those people that well, people don't change or I no, I haven't changed my it's like, that means that you're the exact same person that you were in your 20s? I like, I mean,
I
I
hope
just had it was our anniversary yesterday, and I of course, posted our wedding picture, right? And it's I mean, 19 years. We are completely different people.
totally.
Not even the same. And what somebody who's been through the full training, he messaged me on Instagram. He was like, "Oh, 19 years ago, Justine was so sweet and cute." And I was like, "She was wildly different." And he was like, "I didn't mean it like that." I was like, "I know, Jason, that's not how you meant it." But like when I look back, like no, there's very little that is the same.
Yeah.
Changing your mind is it's a necessity of growing up. It's a privilege in reality too, because it's like if you're not learning, growing, and changing, I say you're just dying faster than you already are.
Oh, totally. Like, you'll hear the adage where people will say, the guy who says, "Well, I've worked here I got 20 years of experience in this business." And it's
Right.
like, "No, you have 1 year of experience. You've just done it 20 times in a row." Like,
Oh yeah.
if you want 20 years of experience, that means you've learned every year, you've changed every year, you've grown, you've rethought, you've
Yeah.
failed, you've succeeded. Like, that's 20 years of experience. A lot of
Uh,
people have 1 year of experience, they've just repeated it 5, 10, 15, however
Right.
many years of
Oh,
time.
that's so good.
I know,
That's
right?
so good. And that's also when you get into those really stuck places in organizations where we hear things like, "Well, that's not how we do it here."
I know, but do you ever find, so, like, even sometimes, like, I will find myself
Mhm.
getting in those traps sometimes,
100
and
Oh, yeah.
I had to constantly question myself as a
Yes.
leader.
I
Once
agree.
you've been in a business for a while,
Yeah.
it's easy to fall into that trap of like,
Yeah.
"Well, that's not the way we did this a couple years ago. That's not the way and, like, I will
Right.
find myself doing it, and then I have to catch it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, wait a minute, Liz. Is this actually the right thing to do, or
Mhm.
why might you be wrong? Like,
Right.
why might there be a better way?" And
Mhm.
be open to it. But, like, I
Mhm.
think everybody falls victim to
For
that
sure.
mentality, like, once you get into
Yeah.
something and you do it for a while.
Uh-huh. Well, because at the end of the day, courage means wrestling with discomfort, and we love to stay comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, your brain's wired to protect you.
Yeah, like, so
Easy, simple.
yeah, so if this is how we've done it, and I mean, it's working fine, that's comfortable.
Yeah,
It feels harder to change it up,
yeah,
and yet
yeah,
change is the only constant.
yeah. There's, I people will say, well, when the new year gets here, it's going to be easier, right? When we get this new person onboarded, once we're through
Uh-huh.
this
Yeah, yeah,
acquisition, once
yeah.
we get AI integrated, like there's always this idea of, I just think of them like false summits, when you're like
Uh-huh.
being a mountain and you're like, oh my God, we're almost at the top. And then you get there and then
Yes.
you're like, no, that wasn't the top. There's still more to go. It's like
Right.
the same thing. There will always be
Yeah.
something else. I
It's
mean,
so true.
there was one of my coworkers, had a ton going on in her life last year, right? Like
Mhm.
crushing it in the business, was getting engaged, was maybe buying a house, like had all these big
All
life
the
things
life stuff,
going
yeah.
and wanted to take a trip, like with her family to go to like a big trip, South Africa.
Yeah.
And, she's like, I just don't think this is the right time. We're trying to do this wedding stuff. I've got all this. And I told her, I said, you know what? I said, your life is never going to get easier than it is right now. Because
Mm.
next year you're gonna be a newlywed and you're gonna be working
Yeah.
on the house and then you're gonna think about babies or you're getting a
Yeah.
dog and
Right.
and then it's gonna be even like your life will never be easier than it is right now. So do the thing.
Mhm.
And
That's
she
true.
did.
Yeah.
And she was like so
Right.
grateful, like glad that she went
Yeah.
and did it. But we sometimes think that like, oh, it'll be easier when it'll
When this happens,
simpler
right.
when, but it's never that way.
No, because you also could argue that, like, it's easier right now too, because this is where you're at. This is literally where you are. So you have the information that you have. There's a lot of
Yes.
unknowns in front of you,
Yeah.
right? Like, there could be that reframe there.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and it's hard to remember, like, I think about because, I train for ninja and I do all my ninja
Yep.
warrior stuff.
Yes.
And I remember when I started, I could not even do like a single pull-up. I was I was
Now you're literally, like, flying across rooms.
I know, but I couldn't do a single pull-up. And so I remember being at the gym one night and there's all these people there, and I was, like, kinda doing ninja, but I was like, "I'm not very good at this, I don't really want it." So I was just kinda, like, walking around or whatever,
Yep.
and this other guy at the gym, Jamie, was like, "Liz, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, get up here and try something." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Jamie, I can't do that." I go, "I can't even do a pull-up." And he looked at me and he goes, "You know the only way you get better at pull-ups?" And I, like, looked at him and he goes, "You do pull-ups." And it was this like, I've carried
Yeah,
that with me into so many things, like, the only way you get better at the thing is to do the thing,
to do
no
the
matter
thing.
how
You have to
uncomfortable it feels.
begin. Yep, you have to begin.
Yeah,
That's so true. That's so
yeah.
true.
You don't have to be good at it, like,
No.
you just have to
Yeah,
do it.
right. You just have to begin.
Yeah.
It's so good. When you think about, like, whether or not it's I mean, the ninja stuff, owning 2 territories of Dale Carnegie, correct?
Mhm.
Right? Leading, but also the 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 roles that you play to the people that you love the most, mom,
Yeah.
wife. Like, when you think about, like, do the work and, like, reclaiming some of, like, who you used to be to walk into who you need to be now or want to be now, what does it look different in the different spaces?
Totally. I think in some aspects it looks totally different, and in some aspects it's probably the exact same.
Yeah.
Like, there are some things everybody's got, right, their core values, and it's like, to my core, this is how I'm gonna show up. Like,
Mhm.
I love people, I love energy, I will bring a lot of energy to
Yep.
things in any situation.
Yes.
I love to be goofy and silly and do stupid, funny things,
Yeah.
and my husband will tell you I do them at work just as much as I do them, like, with our kids. You
Really?
know Oh my gosh, we have so every year at work, I do an award show,
Yep.
and we call it the Conies because I got a plastic orange, like, soccer cone from the Dollar Tree, and I, like, decorated it with, like, stickers and all these things about our values, and I put together this, like, I will do an opening act or I'll wear costumes, and I remember my husband one time, he said, he's like, "Do you think your team thinks you're a big loser?" And I was like, "Man," because I was, like, wearing one of my kids' dress up
Right.
dresses, like, going into but, like, you'll see that in me in, like, all
Yeah.
aspects of life. But I have also you're right, we just said, like, you're not the same person you were 2
No.
years ago, 5 years ago. So I've definitely
Yep.
had to grow into certain spaces,
Yeah.
which has then not that I, like, neglect other spaces, but I've had to find different ways to kind of fill that, like, how do I still
Mm.
be mom, or how do I still be
Yeah.
leader now that the business has grown, now that the kids are
Right.
older, like, it all shifts, but there's still, like, that core
Right.
that's still Liz.
Yeah. The values, the core, the strength, they're the guiding light.
Yeah.
And we still like I think we pull from different parts of our personality or different skill sets, things like that. I always use the example of like, so I'm speaking to you today, right? In a 3-hour workshop. I'm trying to like hold your attention for 3 hours, teaching you all of this new information. Like, I'm not gonna go home tonight and sit at my dinner table and talk this animated to my husband Chad, right? Like, because like he's my person and I'm not trying to hold his attention in a mandatory workshop for 3 hours. And at the same time, though, it's still usually pretty passionate and like, right? Like, so
Yes.
you just pull from different parts.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's one thing that people appreciate is when you can show up for the person you're with or for the people that you're with, right? And you understand who are they? What do they need from me right now? How do I give that to them? You make
Yep.
it about them, but then you do it in a way that's also still you.
Yeah.
Like, that's that authenticity. Like, that's when
Yep.
you can really show up
Uh-huh.
and be you. You're not
Yeah.
trying to be someone else, but you're
Right.
also really cognizant of whoever it is that you're with. And you're not
Right.
just saying, well, that's just me being me. Like,
Mhm.
sorry, that's just me
Oh
being
my
me.
gosh. Yeah.
Like, I'm saying I care about you enough that
Yeah.
I want to show up as the best version of me for you.
Uh-huh. That's so good. And I know one of the things that rubs me when you say like, "Oh, that's just me being me." Like when people use their like personality assessments, whether or not it's DISC or Culture Index or Enneagram, and they're like, "Well, I'm just a D on DISC, or I'm just an Enneagram 8, so this is just who I am." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. These are tools to help you understand yourself and other people and grow, not to be excuses to be an ass." Like,
Yes. Well, it's like when you say, "Well, I was just being myself." Like,
uh-huh,
it's not an excuse to be
right,
disrespectful to
right.
people. Like, really what it signals is, like, a lack of self-awareness.
Oh yeah,
And so that's why I said, like, well, I love when you talked about you talking to a group versus talking to
right,
Chad. It's still you, but
yeah.
you care enough about who you're talking to. What
Right.
environment are you in? What are you trying to get across based on the other person? And then that's how you show up
Yeah.
as you still.
Well, because that's gonna create real connection also,
Totally.
and that's the only place that we can change and
Yeah.
grow is in connection.
Yeah. There's a guy in Texas, Dave Wright. He
Mhm.
owns some Dale Carnegie territories down there. Great mentor in this business. And one of his big when I think of Dave, I would like think of this quote. He always says, he goes, life equals relationships.
For
Like
sure.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
life equals relationships.
Yep.
If you want a better life, have better relationships.
Yep. We were never meant to do this by ourselves,
Totally.
ever, ever.
Yeah.
And that also I mean, to be in relationship, good, healthy relationship, it means authenticity and trust and doing this courage work of really, like, what are you believing about yourself and other people? What are the stories that you're living from? All these different things. It's like, it's that piece, which is it comes back to self-awareness.
Yeah. And I think it's hard. I mean, even for me personally, I have a ton of people in my life who I trust a lot. I have really good relationships, really good connections with, but people who I'm willing to go really deep with
Mhm.
is, like, much, much smaller.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
that's the real hard
Yep.
piece. But it's like when you are willing to go deeper with people, it's a connection on a deeper level. It's like a
Uh-huh.
relationship on a deeper
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But that's scary and hard.
Oh, for sure. I do there isn't those people that get to see all of it with boundaries are important, obviously, but, like, I'm a therapist, I'm never gonna not mention boundaries when I can. Like, but the most intimate details of my life, the older I get, the more I heal, the more I know myself, the more I grow, the smaller that group gets.
Yeah.
It's smaller, and it's not one person. It can't just be one person. That's
No.
you can't just have one. It's too much pressure on that person. Like, what if you're having an issue with that person? Then what? Like, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it is like it's that old school. I don't know. Was it in graduate? It probably was one psychology 101. But when we were given that like circle chart, right? Your intimate circle and then your circle out, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
And they
we
get
don't
bigger
give
and
that
bigger.
enough credit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it is I don't know. Especially when I think of this whole idea of courage,
Uh-huh.
right? It's hard to do by yourself. I think you need other
Where you
people
can.
who
Yeah.
are, like, in your corner supporting
Mhm.
you or who are in your corner and not afraid to call you out when it's
Yes.
like, "Hey, you're
Mhm.
not doing what I
Yep.
know you can do," or "You're
Yep.
not doing what you said you were, trying to
Totally.
do," or "You're not showing up the way you usually are like, you need those
Yeah.
people who can, like, build you up and are
Mhm.
also not afraid to call you out
Yep.
at the same time. Like, I think that helps
Yep.
you show up with more courage when
Yeah.
you have the right
You
people
can't
in your
you
life.
can't just have yes people in your life.
Totally.
You'll get lost. You have to have people like, "Ugh, that you screwed that up." Like,
Mhm. Well,
that's bad.
like, I think people crave that. Like, they want more people in their lives who are
Yeah.
willing to say, "Justine, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, stop. You
Yep.
need to think about this
Yes.
before" like,
So true.
people want that
Mhm.
in their lives. And I
Mhm.
think it also takes a lot of courage for the other person to be willing to say it to someone.
Uh-huh.
To say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm seeing something here," or "I'm
Yep.
thinking something here, I'm feeling something here." But
Mhm.
people want it at the end of the day.
For sure. And it's also just like like in order to have that conversation well, you have to try to deliver it in a way that they can receive it. Like
Yeah,
in who you are, like you were talking about, like my core, my values, it's me, and yet I'm going to choose to connect with you. And like, how can I show up with you that serves you? Like, so it, because, and it is, and if it's your people, hopefully they are knowing how to do that.
yeah, yeah, if you think life equals relationships, intent does not always equal impact, right? Like, I
Yeah.
can intend for this to come across some way, but if the impact on you is
Yeah.
something different,
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
really not my intention that matters, it's the impact on you
Uh-huh.
that matters most at the
Yep.
end of the day.
Absolutely. I always am reminding people, you have no control over once it leaves your mouth. Like, and I guarantee it's passing through their stuff.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, it
it's
is.
passing through their
100%.
lenses, whether or not they're tired and hungry, their childhood wounds might be in there, right? Like, so, like, and still, people will also show you when you didn't do it super well,
Yeah,
right? They'll show you. And
yeah,
so we wanna be able to say, like, "Hold on a second.
yeah.
What'd you just hear me say?"
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yes,
Like, I
or
wanna make
that
sure it came
that
out.
might have come out wrong. That I don't think
Yeah,
land
right.
I'll sometimes say, like, "I don't think that landed the way I intended. Let me try that again."
Yep.
Or,
Exactly.
"Here was my intent behind that. Can you help me? What would have been a better way for me to say that to
Yep.
you?" Because
Yep.
people will help you. They
Yes.
just wanna know you're genuine.
Absolutely. I just had somebody in my last full training that she was like, my family has a saying that like when you can tell that your intent is not your impact, that like we will literally say like, I want to make sure that you understand the way that I need to be understood in this conversation. Can you walk me through like what you just heard me say? And she goes, we bring it like it's understood, understanding. We bring it back to that word. It's like almost it's a code word in our family. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah, because it's never about the actual words, right? Like, it's always about the tone, the
Yeah.
emotion, the
Yep.
feeling behind whatever it was that was said.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So good. So good. You ready for your last 2 questions?
I'm ready for my last 2
Okay.
questions.
All right. So, a question that everybody gets. When has courage looked different than you expected, and what did it teach you?
So, courage looked different for me than what I expected. My sister passed away in 2022. She was 23. I mean, it was like freak accident, totally tragic,
Yeah.
super, super hard,
So
right?
hard.
And it wasn't even my courage. Really, it was watching my husband because I'm a total mess, right? Like
Yeah.
grieving, so is my family. And he had been in my sister's life for, since she was probably 10.
Okay.
So, like, they were super close too,
Yeah.
right? Like, she basically grew up with Andrew there her whole
Yeah.
life. So I know he was really grieving and really sad too. But watching the way that he showed up for me and for my kids, for my sisters, for my parents, like we would all be my parents and everybody's really sad and there'd be kids running around and he would just kind of say, "Hey kids, let's go downstairs and play a game." And like and it was
Yeah.
just this like
Yeah.
he was sad too.
Yeah.
But to realize and have the courage to
Yep.
say, "I'm sad and I need to show up for other
Yep.
people." Like, I think that's a whole different level of
Oh, that's
courage,
good.
and so I'm, like, very grateful to him
Yeah.
for doing that.
That's so good. That's so in Not everybody's capable of that.
Yeah. He's it was funny because I had one sister, they lived out of town for a while. They've ended up moving back, and, she was pregnant at the time
Mm.
and ended up having Sophia probably 5 months after my
Okay.
sister passed away, and she asked Andrew, my husband, to be Sophia's godfather, and she even said, she was like, "It was because of, like, how I saw
Oh,
him show up and how I saw, like,
wow.
the care, like, because
Yeah.
of that kind of, like, experience." She's like, "I want that in the family." I know, so cool. My
It's
husband
so
is amazing.
beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's amazing. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. That's
You're
so good.
welcome. Yeah, he's
All
pretty
right,
awesome.
you ready for your surprise question?
I am ready for my surprise question.
Okay. What is something that you used to believe that you have reclaimed and rewritten, and how has it changed you?
Okay, first of all, that's almost like my question of how have you changed your mind? Like, what have you thought differently of? Um, okay, so I used to believe that you have to be the best at everything you do, and if you're not the best,
Oh,
then
yeah.
you're, like, not good enough. Um, that was totally a belief, and in some ways, I still fight it,
Oh, yeah.
like, in all aspects of my life, I wanna show up as perfect as the
Yeah.
best. This year has been a really good reframe or reminder to me, like, really thinking about, okay, so what does it mean to be successful?
Mm,
Does success mean you're constantly beating goals? Does it mean you're constantly getting better? And I don't think that's what it means anymore. I think that success is a whole lot more than the end result. I think success is a lot more about the journey,
mhm.
the path to get there, the things you fail and learn from, not just win from. So the idea of what is success,
Yeah.
I've totally shifted my belief on like what that
Yeah.
is.
That's so good. Like, well, because like, if I'm not the best, you're not enough. Like, that's the ends of the spectrum.
I know. I
And
know.
dang, I mean, like, yeah, okay, yeah, me too. So many of us, right?
Uh-huh.
Dang,
Yeah, and I think maybe another, like, part of that belief is, well, like, I used to believe that that's why people liked me. That's why people would support me.
mm,
That's why people wanna be ar and, like,
yep,
realizing, okay, well, maybe that's not true. Like,
yeah,
maybe people like seeing some of the
right,
imperfections. People
yep,
like seeing some of the struggle or some of the challenges also, and it's not all about
Yeah.
just being the best or being number one.
Yep. That's so good. I think there's the older I get, my definition of success has changed for sure. And dang, if it's still not hard to not get swept up in the world's definition of success, especially as an entrepreneur.
Totally.
Right. It's like I don't think I want to sell this. Like, and that's not the point to me, right? Like, I mean, and I'm allowed to change my mind, but like, is the success the revenue point, right? I think it's so difficult to not get swept up
100%.
in other people's definitions of it.
It is important, right? Like, it is important, and it does make a difference, but it's not the only thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like the only
It's way bigger
data point for that.
Yep. So true. That's so true. So good. Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all of this. Thank you. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
So find me on LinkedIn. I post a ton of stuff on LinkedIn. If you want to see some of my ninja stuff, because I do a lot of ninja, then you can find me on Instagram. I do all my ninja stuff on Instagram, but anything work related is usually.
I mean, you do post your ninja stuff on LinkedIn once in a while too.
I do sometimes.
I love it
there too.
I love it. I love it. We'll link it all in the show notes. Thank you so much for doing this. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Courage is Built Here podcast. Whether you're brand new to this work or living it out loud every day, I hope today was helpful, hopeful, and a reminder that you're not alone. What one bit of courage will you take from this episode, and how will you walk it out? If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, leave us a review, and please make sure you like and subscribe. New episodes come out every Wednesday on your favorite podcast platform and Fridays on YouTube. For more resources, head to JustineFroelker.com and click to my store. Because courage isn't a one-time thing, it's built right here, one small choice at a time, and especially between us.